Hi everyone, welcome back. It's me, Aaliyah, and I'm laughing as I'm starting this because this is the fifth time I am trying to record this video. I still obsess after all of these decades on all or nothing, black or white, perfect or forget it kind of thinking, and I find it so hard just to be myself and share myself with you, thinking, okay, wait a minute, I've got to make sure this is wonderful for you because otherwise I'm wasting your time. Whereas in fact, I know, and I've said it in other of my videos, that I enjoy when people are just who they are. Here we go. I'm going to stop again and start over. I'm not going to do it. And so I've got to get used to doing that with you. So I have a cashback credit card that I use for our grocery and our gasoline purchases. And last month I got notice that I had a nice little credit sitting there from the cashback program, and I decided, instead of doing what I typically do, which is moving it straight into checking, where I then use it to take care of everybody else's needs except my own, that this time around I would use some of it for me. And I ended up using just under half. I've written down over here on a piece of paper what I've spent, and I'm going to show you all of the little goodies that I got and explain why I did. They're basically all stationery products, and I really need to focus on getting my mental health and my physical health in order, particularly my physical health at the moment. And in a separate video, so I don't make this one very big long one, I'm going to share with you why that is. And I'm probably going to record it later today, so when you see it, you're going to see the same outfit. Maybe the sun will be a little lower down in the sky here, but you're going to be seeing that soon. And yeah, here in Montreal today, it's nice and sunny, and it's a reasonably comfortable 9 degrees Celsius, which I think is around 48, not quite 49 Fahrenheit. So, as I've heard on some review channels, let's get to it. Okay. So first up is I got myself these 3 notebooks over here. One says, you have everything you need. It's here in you always. Let me show you this one after. This one says, we can begin by doing small things, which is something I need to remind myself of. Particularly like with recording videos. I can start small and make a whole bunch of videos where I feel imperfect and I don't get this right and I don't get that right, and that's okay because I'm going to grow through the experience, right? And hopefully not torture you too much as you come along with me. And then the last one is, there is no enjoyment like reading. I am an avid reader of fiction and nonfiction. And, well, before I get into that, let me just show you each of these notebooks. So they're lined, but they also have beautiful imagery here and there. The back page of each of these image pages has this lovely little colorful pattern, and the other side has a beautiful picture with some sort of a quotation on it, and that is throughout the book. So that's really, really pretty. And these ranged in price from $8 to $13 Canadian. No, excuse me, $11 to $13 Canadian, or $8 to $9.50 US. And they are 5 by 8 inches, and they have 128 lined pages each. So I think these are beautiful. And the cover, if you can hear that, it has sort of like a plasticized coating on top of it. So hopefully that's going to make it a little bit more durable. Now, what I intend to use these for are what you may have seen or you already know about, but maybe you've seen these recommendations on YouTube, depending on what you enjoy watching. But they're called commonplace journals, where you use it to just jot down random ideas and or to collect little facts, tidbits that you want to remind yourself of later. Maybe it's a quotation that you heard. Maybe it's a historic fact that you want to recollect later on or share with somebody else. That's what I'm going to use these for. When I read, I typically, all of my books look like this. We'll mark off things that I find interesting. Either it's a turn of phrase or a reference to another book, a songwriter, a piece of art, some historical fact. And what I'm going to do then, instead of having this scattered throughout all these books with all these little post-it notes in them, I am instead going to jot down very quickly in short form what that piece of information is that I find intriguing. And then regularly I can go through that book and say, hey, you know what, I want to look more into this particular topic, or I really like that quote, and just put a smile on my face. I'm going to give you an example. Recently I was reading this book. It's called The Stranger in the Woods. It's a nonfiction book by Michael Finkel. I don't remember when it was written, but I think within the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years. And it's a true story about the original true hermit of Maine, a young man who at 20 just one day up and quit his job, packed up a few things into a backpack, and then drove from whatever state he was working in, I don't remember what it was at the time, to his home state of Maine. He drove and drove into the wooded areas until he ran out of gas, and he just left the car where he ran out of gas, put the keys on the dashboard, walked into the woods, and wasn't found until 27 years later, surviving in the cold Maine woods without even lighting a campfire in the winter. It's a very fascinating story. On the one hand about his ingenuity, and on the other hand about the thievery that he engaged in to get himself the supplies to make it. Anyway, I'm going off track. I could talk about books forever. But for instance, one of the facts that, let's say, I want to put in this commonplace book, this mentions over here that biologists have found through studies that the tendency and the desire for people to want to be alone. You know, you have those who are social butterflies, and then you have those who are wallflowers and prefer their own company to the company of others. That it is partially genetic, and to some degree it's actually measurable. Okay, it says that if you have low levels of the pituitary peptide oxytocin, which is sometimes called the master chemical of sociability, and you also have high quantities of the hormone vasopressin, you may feel a suppressed need for affection and have a tendency to want or even try to engage in fewer interpersonal relationships. And I love science, and I think that is such a cool fact, and I want to look up more about that. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be grabbing one of my notebooks and making note of that over there, and then one day I'm going to sit down at my laptop and Google a bunch of stuff and inform myself more about these things. And to share a quote that I really like, I loaded this one up on my laptop so I could read it to you because I didn't write it down in my notebook yet. But I thought it was so cute. It's by the British author John Connolly. He writes a series of mysteries. And in this particular one, there's a question of whether or not a house is haunted, and he has a line in there that I thought was so catchy. He wrote, "After all, the ghosts may not be real, but no one has told the ghosts." And I thought, that is so witty. That's the kind of thing that I want to jot down in this book over here, and maybe also keep a record of my favorite books there, so that one day in the future, you know, when my boys go through this and I'm not around to tell them in person, they can say, hey, wait, these are the books Mom really liked and enjoyed, and maybe they'll be intrigued and they're going to want to read them and find out more. So that's what these 3 journals are for. Now, to go along with that, I got myself a whole bunch of colorful pens. It is by the company Zebra, and it is the Sarasa Vintage Collection. Am I holding that up for you to see? They're 0.5 millimeters, so they are rather fine point, and it's 10 different colors. I don't think my camera can distinguish the colors well enough for you here, but it ranges from everything from browns to purples to burgundies to like a mulberry color to a mustard. There are a couple of blues in there. Really, really pretty, and I'm going to be using that in these journals. It even came with like this little plastic pencil case to store them all in, so that was great. And these pens over here, let me see, they were 10 for just under $18 Canadian, which translates to about $14.50 the US in the US currency. So that's about $1.40 or so a pen. So I'm looking forward to using them to jot all of these notes down. And yes, I can use a regular pen, and I also did buy some of those. I bought these Sharpies. These are also fine point, 0.4 millimeters. But I thought part of my healing myself and trying to get myself more and more out of depression, particularly now that we are in November, the clocks went back for most of us last weekend. We are now in daylight savings time. And here in Montreal, by 4:30 p.m., it is already dark outside. And along with my depression, I am affected to a certain degree by seasonal affective disorder. And I really don't thrive particularly well in all of the winter months where we're without sunlight for a good chunk of the end of the day. So I thought that by adding a little bit of color and making the things that I am working with and looking at prettier and more vibrant and more interesting, that might be just a tiny little thing I can do to boost my mood. The next thing I got, and these are transparent. Let me show you first. These are transparent gradient sticky notes. These are sort of like bluish yellow. This is a variant on pink. Here we've got yellow and peach. And this one is so pretty. It's sort of like mauve or mauve. Did you say mauve? My parents always said mauve, but then English was not their mother tongue. And these sticky notes, it was $12.99 Canadian, which translates into $4.36 US. And they're 50 sheets on each pad. So a total of 200 of them. So about 6.5 cents a sheet. And I bought these specifically for when I am doing Bible studies. Like for instance, at the moment I'm working through the book of Proverbs, which in the Hebrew is Mishle. And here's an example of what it looks like. You see, I can put this on top of the text, and then if I wanted to, I could write my own notes over here without then damaging the actual book itself. And if I want, of course, you know, I can just peel it out one day and put it somewhere else, but you can also see through it at the same time. So that's the purpose of this specifically. I will also use it sometimes to highlight some things in the prayer book that I use, because I'm still, after all of these years, trying to read quickly enough in the Hebrew that when I pray, I can pray in Hebrew. There are a number of prayers and blessings that we say on the regular that I do know off by heart, how to say them and pronounce it, and it's become like a part of my regular language. But I still find it tricky to read the lettering and then like the little cantillation and the little vowel signs after that. And if any of you, this is a little aside because I do that in my videos. If any of you watch reactions for Foodie Beauty or Chantal Marie, which I have done for the longest while, simply because at first I empathized with her because of her mental health challenges and her struggles with weight. Now I watch a little less frequently because I just find her very unpleasant as a person. But many people will comment with her that, okay, you know, she says she's a Muslim revert and she has been dressing like a Muslim, and in some regards, very few, behaving like a Muslim revert or a convert. I'm a convert to Judaism, so why isn't she learning the language? And when I converted here in Montreal, firstly, nobody here generally speaks Hebrew. Some people do know it, particularly those who have businesses and or family in Israel, but it's usually only used for learning and for praying. And yes, most people do know it, but me coming into it as an adult, I was encouraged instead to, excuse my language, my goodness, I don't know what's the matter with my mouth today, to focus instead on getting familiar with and comfortable with the prayers in English, because there is more value in understanding what it is that you are saying when you pray than there is in pronouncing it in a different language. But I'm still trying to learn and always add things as I go. So that's the purpose of that one. And my little sticky notes. They're so cute. And then the next thing I bought, and oh, I found them out over here. If you don't hear that, I'm moving a chair. You probably hear that, and I'll be back in frame in a second if I don't fall off of this rolling office chair I have here. The next thing I bought, and I'm trying to fan them back out again, are these little notes. They're little dots. I don't remember the size of the dots, I'm sorry, and it doesn't say on the little package they came in. But again, sort of like in muted vintage colors. And I think, when I counted, I think I have 13 sheets over here. And they are the numbers of the month, with each one going up to 31 and then 4 extra plain dots. And I am going to be using those in these journals. Oh, well, first of all, let me tell you the price of those little dots in case you're curious. And you know what? I didn't make a note of them, did I? No, I didn't. So I guess I won't be telling you right now. The next thing I got was this package. They're so adorable. I love the colors of them, but for me, it serves a practical purpose. It comes in like this little magnetic box that you can then store them in over time. They're 12 little mini notebooks. And what I find interesting, when you open them up, let's say the pink one will have pink lines within it. The blue one will have blue, purple will have purple. It's really nicely done. And each one of these is small, I think. Here, I did take note of the size. They're 3.5 by 5 inches. Each one has 32 sheets or 64 lined pages. And I'm going to be using one a month, which is why I chose them with they have 12. And that's where I'm going to use the dots to keep track of the day of the month. And I'm going to be using these as sort of like mini trackers as I improve my health every day. I'm going to record my weight. I'm going to record my mood, how depressed I am, because that impacts then how much I do during the day to take care of myself. I'm going to record my exercises. I'm going to periodically take note of what my resting heart rate is, because as we get healthier, our resting heart rate drops. I'm going to also regularly check where my blood pressure is holding, because recently it has been creeping up a little bit as I'm stressed. I have always historically been 110/70, and the last couple of times it was checked, and I tend not to have what they call white coat reaction. Some people, their blood pressure goes up when they're in a doctor's office. I generally don't have that, but the last couple of times it was measured, it was like around 130/80, so it's going up there. I need to work on that. So that's what the purpose of these are going to be, and because they are so compact, I can pop them into the little purse that I take with me, and then if I grab a bite to eat somewhere and or I'm not feeling well, I can quickly jot that note down. It also then will help me then when I do get together with my family doctor to review how I'm doing, what's improving, what isn't. I will have a very handy little record to look back upon so that we can then assess what's going on and where I can make more improvements. So I got these. And this boxed set was $20 Canadian, which translates to $14.40 US. So it's about $1.20 for each little notebook. Okay. And, oh, yeah. This was really the treat, the not practical part. And I've got like this falling all over the table because it just came in a box. It did not come in like a nice little roll. So I'm going to find a little box that I've got somewhere in my bedroom that still needs decluttering. If any of you saw that video at the start of the year, which I never followed up on, like I generally don't follow up on anything. I got these cute little washi tapes over here. You can see them. They're like gold foil, a bunch of different little patterns. Each one of these is 7 feet in length. And... where is it? Come on, Aliani. Oh my gosh, I thought I had written it down. What am I doing? This is terrible. I'm not doing a great job with this, am I? No, not at all. All right, they're each 7 feet long. Oh yes, I did write it down. And I remember now where I wrote it down. Ha! They came in these boxes. Yeah, so there's 20 rolls in each box because I got 2 boxes. I'll show you the other ones in a minute. They're 5 millimeters or 3/16 of an inch thick, and there's 2 meters in length or 7 feet, and the box was $10.99 Canadian or $7.92 US, which breaks down to approximately in US dollars $1 a foot. So that's more of an indulgence for me because it doesn't serve a real practical purpose. Well, you know what? Let me be nice to myself. Let me be as generous with myself as I am with other people and say it serves a very good practical purpose. Because when I see something pretty and sparkly like that, it puts a bit of a smile on my face. And when I'm depressed, that can make a difference. A tiny little difference. But it makes a little bit of, I'm repeating the word little. it makes a bit of a difference, and all of those little differences throughout the day do have an impact. So you know what? This ends up being an investment in my health. How's that? Okay, so those are the golden colored ones, and then the other box I got, same price, same 7-foot length, etc., are these over here. And I don't think my my camera is picking up the color very well, and I hope I'm steady enough that you can see a little bit. But it's beautiful turquoises, a couple of blues, some pinks and peaches, some greens, and I'm going to use these throughout my journals to add a little bit of color and to lift myself up. And then the last thing to show you is this notebook over here. I really like the color. It's called Oranges, the pattern. I really like the color. This is very convenient, of course, because it either holds it closed or you can use it as a bookmark, as you know, within to like keep your place. And this on the inside, does my camera pick it up? Maybe there a little bit for you. You've got like the dot pattern if you want to do bullet journaling. This is going to be a book of my dreams and goals for 2025 in terms of creating content here for you guys and for me on YouTube. I have on my phone, yeah, which I can't show you because I'm filming on my phone. I have notes of all sorts of videos that I want to record for you, talking about a lot of health related topics. Some of them are more fun, sharing memories from childhood. There's the series that I've talked about that I want to start out and about in Montreal, going out every 2 weeks and sharing something with you. Montreal's a beautiful historic city, particularly down near the old port where the original city was created. It's now going on, I think, 380 or maybe a little bit more, 380 years. A lot of beautiful architecture, tremendous history, and I would like to share that with you for those of you who don't travel, and or for those of you who might travel here one day and want to get a look in advance of what it's like. I'm not going to be a travel vlogger, and I'm certainly not going to have the kind of editing skills to make it as beautiful as many of the travel vloggers do, but I'm going to do my best to share that with you. So this notebook, if anybody is curious, was $16.99 Canadian or $12 US, and it has 120 sheets, equivalent to 240 pages. So my total for all of these things that I have shared with you today was $113 Canadian or about $82 US. Now, to me, 113 Canadian sounds like a lot because it's been a very long while since I spent that on myself. As many of you can tell, when you do see me, on the rare occasion you see me in a video, I'm generally wearing the same things. Part of that is intentional because when I'm blue, I'm just lounging, ruminating around the house, and so I wear something that's quick and comfy, that I don't care if I get too dirty, if let's say I'm suddenly inspired to clean something. That doesn't mean if you see me wearing it often that I'm not laundering it between each wear. I do that, okay? I just tend to wear the same comfy, practical clothes again and again and again. But going forward, for my mental health, I'm going to work on changing that. Just like today, you may see me with some makeup on. I used to wear makeup all of the time, and back in my 20s, people used to say I did a really nice job and was very good at bringing out my best features and kind of minimizing those, you know, that we wanted to make just a little bit smaller. But I haven't worn makeup on a regular basis in forever. It's got to be at least, yeah, about 3 decades now. And I want to get back into doing that. And I want to also get back into doing that, not just when I'm recording a video over here, because yesterday I did it. I ended up having a live stream with a really good friend of mine for a while. And, you know, maybe she thought, and that's okay if she did, if you're listening, and she probably is, because God bless her, I love you. you might think that, okay, well, I put on the makeup yesterday because I was going to be live streaming and chatting with somebody, but she's seen me without makeup. She's had that little horror and surprise, and I am going to try to continue putting on a bit of makeup every day just for me, even when I don't leave the house, even if I'm wearing that, disheveled, kind of ratty outfit, because I might get thrown into, I don't know, suddenly deciding I'm gonna scrub the floor for a change or something like that. But it's another little thing that I can do to boost my morale and my mood, and also to show myself that I am, gosh, I'm gonna try not to cry here because this is not the mental health video, that I am worth that investment. So, okay, that said, this was my happy haul. I am going to be coming back very shortly, and probably in the same outfit if I recorded today, with 2 videos. One, I'm going to talk about the status of my health currently, my physical health and my mental health. Particularly my physical, because I spent the 12 hours last week in the ER as a result of a blood test that I had. And I'm also then going to be recording, finally, I talked about it for a very long while, my plans for doing my RNY rescue. It was over 3 years ago now that I had the RNY, the Rouen-Y gastric bypass surgery. Initially, I lost about 100 pounds, then I regained a bunch, and now I'm back to losing again. And I want to share with you what went on with all of that. And particularly, I want to try to get the message out to others who may be having that experience where they feel they have failed their surgery. So yeah, that's going to be coming up soon. If you have made it this far and we're holding it, whoa, holy moly, I've got to try to work on coming out with shorter videos. Mind you, then again, if I'm talking to you more regularly, they will likely be shorter, right? So yeah, there's motivation for me. We're going on 27 minutes here now. So again, if any of you have made it to this point in the video, you are a real trooper. God bless you and thank you so much. I will not be putting timestamps down in the bottom this time. And I guess I should have said that at the start, because at this point, if you're not here to listen to it, what's the point, right? Since it was just stationery haul. So let's leave it at that. And I will be back again very, very shortly. And for those of you who have toughed it out and you're still here with me after all of these years, after all of my inconsistencies, my withdrawing socially and disappearing, thank you. It means so much. God bless you. Now, take good care. Bye.